Hello, my name is John Brink, and we are podcasting on the Brink, and we from Prince George, British Columbia. Prince George is what I call the capital of northern BC. It's a beautiful, beautiful area, and so is the province of British Columbia. And for those guests from overseas or from around the world, if you ever plan a holiday, plan it in northern BC. It's nature and an absolute beautiful place. Our guest today, somebody special and a friend. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. So our guest is Sarita Parmar, and so we've known each other for a number of years.
Yeah.
Were you born in northern BC?
I was. I am a northern BC girl. I think
Okay.
a lot of people don't know. I was born in Prince George, but I
Yeah.
never lived here.
Yeah.
So I was born
So
in
how did that all happen?
So my family lived in Houston, BC, not
Yeah.
Texas.
Yeah. No kidding.
We know, but for people who might not know.
Yeah.
So my family lived in Houston, BC.
Yeah.
And we moved to the lower mainland for a number of years.
Yeah.
And then my family moved back to northern BC. I finished high school in the lower mainland.
Yeah.
And then I moved with my family to attend the university here, UNBC.
Wow. So it was, still relatively new.
Oh, yeah.
An amazing university. It's
100%. Yeah.
It's classified as the best university, small university in Canada.
That's right.
Already several years, right?
Yeah.
What did you take, Sarita?
I studied business.
Okay.
So I earned my Bachelor of Commerce degree
Okay.
there. So I studied finance and accounting. So at that time, you could do a double major in the same amount of time it takes you to do one.
Okay.
And I think they've changed it a little bit now. It's been a while since I graduated.
Made it harder then?
I believe it takes a little bit longer.
Okay.
But I'm not 100% sure on that. For some reason,
Yeah.
I think it takes a little longer. Maybe they changed some of the credentials or what have you.
So how long were you in university?
4 years.
4 years
Yeah.
here at UNBC, right?
UNBC. And so I studied finance and accounting,
Yeah.
found accounting super boring. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not going on to pursue my accounting designation.
Yeah.
Love all my accountant friends, but yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
my thing. And I went the finance route.
Yeah. So that was a special study then again for the finance side, especially? Because you worked for quite a few of the banks,
I
right?
did, yeah. And
Yeah.
that's how we met back in my business banking days.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and-
I did, all in Prince George. With the exception of 1 year in Chetwynd, BC.
How did that happen?
Well, I think when I first got my job, like I was super excited. Like my first job was with TD Bank.
Yeah.
And so
Toronto Dominion
yes,
Bank, yeah.
yeah, which is now TD Canada Trust.
Yeah.
And so they make you, at that time, I was still in university.
Yeah.
And they had made an offer, but it was subject to me being mobile.
Yeah.
Right? And I didn't think too much of it. I
No.
was like, this is my first career-related job. I'm so excited.
Yeah,
Signed the
exactly.
dotted line. 3 months into it, they're like, yeah, you have a choice. You can go to Chetwynd or what was it? It was Mission, I think. And I ended up choosing Chetwynd for personal reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I wanted to stay close to Prince George.
Yeah. How far is Chetwynd north of Prince George?
3 hours.
3 hours, that's a long way.
Yeah.
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 So then, so you also work for BDC?
I did. Yeah. So how did it go? I started with TD Bank.
Yeah.
And the merger with Canada Trust happened during my time there.
Yeah.
And then I moved over to the business banking side.
Yeah.
I joke about the dark side, but that's the fun, exciting side when you're working with business owners. After TD Commercial Banking, I moved to HSBC, and this is all in Prince George. And then after HSBC, I was with BDC.
So you kind of look like banking became your career in a way, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So usually what happens then when you first start in the banking side, you start on the I shouldn't say lower levels, but initially on the actual banking, but not so
Like
much
the personal side,
personal
the
side.
retail side.
Right.
Yeah.
And then from there on in,
Yeah.
you work your way up.
Got introduced into commercial banking. And it's funny how it happened because when I was in Chetwynd, like I was in Prince George every weekend. At that time, I was engaged to be married, which is the reason that I picked Chetwynd as
Right.
opposed to going to Mission.
Yeah.
And I would be on the HR website looking for job opportunities in Prince George.
well, sure.
But at that time, I was looking for a financial analyst role. So, you
Yeah.
know, I go in weekly, no financial analyst role. But one time it said something about commercial banking, and I'm like, it's not financial analyst, log out of there.
Yeah.
Then I go home and I'm like, what is commercial banking all about?
Yeah.
And that's how I landed in commercial banking.
And that was at which bank?
TD.
TD.
Because that's what got me from Chetwynd back into Prince George.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Chetwynd, a relatively small community, about 5,000-6,000 people, maybe?
I think not even.
Not
I
even.
feel like it's probably 3,000, 4,000.
Yeah.
Maybe you're right. And I remember the first weekend that I went there. And my manager at that time, he took me for a drive. And I'm
That took all of
driving
10
around.
minutes.
Well, not even. You're being generous, John. No, it was great. I did enjoy my time there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, being from Houston,
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I think this is about the same size as Houston,
Yeah.
thinking Houston is super tiny.
Yeah.
He goes to me, I don't think so. I think Houston is bigger. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh gosh, what have I signed up for?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So how long were you there?
1 year.
1 year. And then you stayed with TD?
I did.
And then from there on in, how long did you stay with TD?
With TD, well, in commercial banking alone, it was about 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you're really testing my memory.
Good experience.
Oh,
though,
100%.
because now you became involved in commercial banking.
Yes.
Dealing with businesses
Exactly.
and
Yeah. And that's the beauty. Like, that's what I love. To
Yeah.
this day,
Yeah.
I love working with entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so that's how you learn, how you grow, and you learn about what's going on in specific industries
Yeah.
from talking to the people working and thriving in those industries. Yeah.
And then from there on in, you want to
I went to HSBC.
HSBC.
Yeah.
That's Bank of Hong Kong. What is the actual name?
That's, I think it used to be, it amalgamated with somebody. So let's see if I can get this right.
Yeah.
Hong Kong Shanghai Banking Corporation.
Okay, so that's
something
the
like
acronym.
That. Yeah,
Doodle.
I believe so. Yeah.
So, and again, you were in commercial banking.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
And then you ended up from there into
BDC. Yeah.
So BDC, a little bit different from a banking perspective, right?
Yeah.
It is more government and somewhat bank of last resort.
No, they're not a bank of last resort. It's really funny that people refer to it as that.
Yeah.
It's absolutely not a bank of last resort. BDC is a commercial lender, right?
Yeah.
They do long-term financing.
Yeah.
And so it's been a number of years since I left, but they fill a gap in the marketplace.
Yeah.
So let's say your day-to-day bank is RBC, right?
Yeah.
So with your day-to-day bank, you're going to have your bank accounts, your investments, your line of credit.
Yeah.
BDC comes in as a long-term lender to partner with your financial institution.
Yeah. So to work together with them,
Yes.
Doing projects where the normal day-to-day banker would not be able to do that. And,
like, you know, for example, with banks, right? Like, banks are blue chip stocks. Who are they answering to? They're answering to the shareholders because they need to maximize their shareholder value.
Exactly.
BDC doesn't make nearly as much money as the chartered banks, right?
Yeah.
So BDC is really good at what they do.
Yeah.
They're happy with that.
Yeah.
They've got a mandate by the government. This is your role.
Yeah.
And it's to help improve the economy.
Yeah.
And so they might do something like, and why some people might think of them like a lender of last resort, I most definitely wouldn't, is normally if you've got that relationship with your bank, your day-to-day bank, and you're working on a project, maybe you're renting a building, and you want to now purchase the building.
Right.
And they may say, you know what, our guidelines only allow us to lend you 60 or 65% value.
Right.
Where you take somebody like BDC, if the cash flow's there, they're happy with management, they can finance up to 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
makes a huge difference,
Oh,
right?
absolutely, yeah.
And then the other thing that, correct me if I'm wrong, if I remember from the times that I interacted with BDC, is that your territory was virtually all of northern British Columbia? Sizably, or?
Like me personally when I worked there?
No, for BDC here in Prince George.
They do cover, yeah, there are territories. So now like I'm going back a few years. It's been years since I left them. But I believe there is a BDC in Terrace.
Yeah.
There's a BDC in Fort St. John.
Okay.
So they have their own territories.
Yeah.
So you don't, they sort of are responsible for those regions. When I worked there, we did actually report into Kelowna, but we had our territory, let's pretend it was from Williams Lake north.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the way up to virtually Fort St. John.
But then Fort St. John had their own BDC office there.
Right.
Yeah.
So
but you're right. If you're asking about coverage, 100%. Yeah. It's actually all over Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so you were there for a period of time.
Yeah.
And then you went to private business?
I did.
You went to the big group of companies?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So it's funny because, you know, BDC is amazing at what they do.
Yeah.
To this day, I'll refer people to BDC.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't, you know, that I was mad or upset and left. You know, I think I came to a point in my life where I wanted to take a little bit more risk than I felt I could at the bank.
Yeah.
Right? And you sit across the table like entrepreneurs, across the table like entrepreneurs like yourself.
Right.
And so, you know, you're excited and you say, hey, Sarita, here's where I'm at today.
Yeah.
In 5 years, this is where I'm going to be,
yeah.
with or without your help.
Yeah.
And that's the energy that I wanted to be a part of.
Yeah, yeah.
So yes, I did move then. I ended up taking a little too much risk. So that stint lasted about a year.
Yeah.
And then I just thought I'd like to get out of finance, and then just tried something new. Ended up taking some time off work too. And then when I decided, and I took my daughter traveling. I've got a 13-year-old daughter.
You have one daughter?
I've got one daughter.
What's her name?
Jaya.
Yeah. Now, I watch your Facebook, so I'm
Oh,
a little bit familiar with her. So,
yeah, she's like
so
13,
sweet, right?
going on like 20 something,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah.
And so anyways, no, I took her traveling. Like after Bid Group, I worked for one other organization. I didn't like it. I actually quit without a backup plan.
Yeah.
And that's when I just took a little bit of time off for myself,
Yeah.
and decided to spend it with Jaya. And we went traveling for a little bit.
Nice.
And then when I decided, okay, I'm ready to re-enter the workforce,
Right.
that's when I found a lump in my left breast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
are you comfortable talking about that?
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're comfortable listening to me talk
Oh
about
yeah, no, I want you to talk
Yeah,
about it. You know,
for
so
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened then? So you had it checked.
it was a lump that I found myself, and to this day I tell like all women in my life, know your bodies, men too. Like men
Yeah.
are less likely to go to the doctor until you have to go to emergency.
Yeah.
You're probably no different. You are no different. I remember
Yeah.
your story about it took you 20 minutes to go from gate A to gate C when it takes you 5.
Yeah. Diverticulitis.
Right? Yeah.
Nearly killed me. Yeah.
You're okay now though?
Oh yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so let's see what happened. Yeah, I found the
So you found the lump.
I found the lump by myself.
Yeah. And so it's so important to talk about it. I'm so glad that you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy to talk about it. Sorry, my
Because
mouth's getting
people
dry.
should
I'm like
know,
talking a
right?
little too much.
Yeah.
No, I'm happy to talk about it. So I discovered the lump, and you know, I felt it, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what's this?
Yeah.
So then I go Google it, right? Because Google has all the answers.
Yeah.
And that's when I learned that not all lumps mean it's cancer.
No.
And then so I just rolled over and went to sleep. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I'm sure I'm fine.
Yeah.
Waited a couple of weeks, and I did not have a family doctor at that time.
Yeah.
So I went into the walk-in.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they ended up taking, he checked me out and said the same thing. He goes, oh yeah, it's probably benign. So
Yeah.
that gave me immense comfort to
Yeah.
have the doctor act calm. And maybe at that time he was being calm on purpose. This is good. Anyways, he sent me for an ultrasound. Ultrasound report comes back saying, oh, it's most likely benign. And I thought, sweet, I think it's benign because of what I read on Google. The doctor at the walk-in thinks it's benign. And now this radiologist is thinking it's benign. But the radiologist also said, to be prudent, recommend a biopsy.
Yeah.
And I said to the doctor at the walk-in, I just said, oh, you know, we all agree it's benign. I don't need to. And I remember his head shot up and he goes, could you imagine in the off chance we were wrong, Sarita?
Yeah.
You're getting that biopsy.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, the biopsy came back saying it was triple negative breast cancer, which is a very aggressive type.
So triple negative?
Triple negative.
That sounds that it is good.
Yeah, I know, right? It's not though.
No.
It's not.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
Okay. And so then what happened?
And then I went on to, what did I do? I went on to treatment.
It's a shock, right?
Yeah. And I actually remember when the doctor at the walk-in came to tell me, he was very apologetic.
Yeah.
He just kept saying, I'm so sorry. And I remember thinking, hey, don't worry about it. Okay, well, what do we have to do? What do I have to do next?
Yeah.
We got that part covered.
Exactly.
What's next?
Yeah.
And then from there, we made a plan with an oncologist and a surgeon. So I went on then to have chemotherapy. Because of the type of cancer it was, they wanted to see if I would respond to chemotherapy. Thank goodness I did. So they wanted to see if the lump shrunk. It did. So I had aggressive chemotherapy. And after that, thankfully, it worked. They saw the lump shrunk. Then I had a bilateral mastectomy. And then...
What does that mean?
It's basically both my breasts were amputated, is what it means.
Okay.
Yeah. So a double mastectomy or a bilateral mastectomy.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
And I did want immediate reconstruction, but I ended up getting an infection. And this is I'm not even being dramatic, that it was eating me alive, but nobody knew the infection was that bad.
Yeah.
So that infection resulted in 3 bonus surgeries, I call them.
Yeah.
So they had to put me under 3 more times. And so I'm, very beat up. And I was on antibiotics after those 3 bonus surgeries for over 6 weeks, where I had to go to the hospital every single day for IV therapy. I had 3 different drugs I was taking for the infection.
Yeah.
Thankfully, that all got resolved.
Yeah.
After
How
that...
long ago was it now, Sarita?
I'll tell you in 1 second. So after the IV therapy, then I did radiation.
Yeah.
And so that was now, because I started with the chemo. So July 24th actually marks 4 years since chemo ended.
Yeah.
But, so I'm going to say 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the other therapies continued. Yeah.
Are you okay now?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. And I always say it's cliche, but when somebody goes through something like that, it absolutely helps you reevaluate your priorities, right? That's what I mean. It sounds cliche.
No question about that.
Yeah. And so the physical therapy finished, but I needed time to mentally and emotionally heal.
Oh yeah, sure.
And so then I took a little bit more time off.
Yeah.
And then when I felt I was ready to enter the workforce, I knew I didn't want anything super stressful.
Yeah.
I was very selective.
Yeah.
And I loved banking, learned so much, and I made really good money. But it was stressful.
Yeah.
And so then what I ended up doing was I made a list of companies I was curious about and just started calling the owners and the managers to have one-on-one interviews to learn a little bit about their company.
Now, can I ask you something else about what you just shared with us?
Absolutely.
It's so important because other people need to know, right, that you're so open about it, and how important it was that you were so proactive and that you met a doc that was proactive, right?
Yes.
So a lot of people fear this, but you don't hear many people talking about it, and I think it's so important that
Yeah.
people do, and as you do, and so that's a part of life, and to be proactive, make sure that if that is a concern, that you are proactive of your body. You only have one of them, and then have it checked out, and to give you peace of mind.
Yeah.
Right?
And you never know. Like sometimes we just dismiss things like, oh, it'll go away. It's not that big of a deal.
We tend to do that.
Yeah,
right?
It's human nature, right?
Yeah. Now, the other thing I should share with you is that I had at one point too, I had a problem also because, but a lot of people don't know, is that man can get breast cancer too.
Yes.
And
rare, but it can happen.
I didn't know that, and because that part of the body is the same as men and women, and was explained to me, and so I had pain in both areas of the breast, and went to then went to a specialist, and they then made the decision to remove my breast as well.
Interesting. I did not know that. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And you are the first man I've met that I'm aware of. Maybe there are other men and they don't talk about it, but that I know.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing that. I had no idea.
So important, right? So in my case, they were, how do you say it? They were benign. It was not, but so when they, here in Prince George, when I went to the hospital, they just removed them.
So what do you mean, the lumps were benign? Or there were tumors that were benign?
Well, there was a concern about that it would be tumors, so they removed them both.
Okay.
The underlying tissue. So I still have my nipple, but underneath it is gone. So and they just took them out, and then they checked them out and said no, it's benign. So there was no cancer.
Yeah.
But the reason that they did it is because in some cases there is.
It can turn into that. So you were being proactive.
Correct.
And I actually, with my health journey, I also forgot another important piece. So after all that like breast cancer stuff was over, it kind of falls under that too. But I actually lost my mom to ovarian cancer.
Yeah.
And then I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Yeah.
So what that does is that puts my immediate family, like my sisters, and myself, we qualify for free genetic testing.
Correct.
So I don't even know how much it would cost if someone off the street wanted to do it. I've been asked that question. I'm like, I have no idea. It could be 500, could be 5,000.
Who knows?
But thankfully, and so so my sisters and I, all four of us, I'm the oldest of four girls, we ended up getting genetic testing. Yeah. And during that testing, it came back that I had a mutation. So I don't know if your viewers or listeners, if even yourself, have heard of BRCA1, BRCA1.
No.
So BRCA1 is apparently a gene everybody has.
Okay.
But some of us have a mutation.
Okay.
And the way it was explained to me is, imagine it's a spelling error in your DNA.
Okay.
So I have that. So what does that mean? That means anybody with the BRCA1 mutation, they're at higher than average risk for breast and ovarian cancer. Yeah. Now remember, I was already diagnosed with breast. I lost my mom to ovarian. And so, worked out with my oncologist, what do you suggest, right? And then they suggested what's called a salpingo-oophorectomy. And what that means is I now have my ovaries and my fallopian tubes removed as well. Yeah. As a prophylactic. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just to be proactive. So that's all fine and dandy. Right. But what nobody tells you is how you suffer afterwards. Okay. And so I'm actually on hormone replacement therapy right now. Like I had no idea, because ovaries produce the bulk, over 90%, I think, of your estrogen. Yeah. And I had no idea. Like I just thought testosterone's the male hormone and estrogen is the sexy female hormone. Yeah. No, it has such a huge role in our brain, our heart health, our bone health. Our whole body, yeah. Yeah. And so apparently I read somewhere that estrogen controls over 300 functions in the body. Yeah. And so I didn't know any of that. At the time, everybody's focused on life-saving, right? Yeah. Like and doctors are fantastic and amazing at what they did. And I do want to take a minute to say, like, are we allowed to say names and stuff?
Yeah,
I want to give a shout. I'd like to give a shout out to that walk-in doctor, Dr. Daryl Liskey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to give him a shout out.
Absolutely.
He made me get the biopsy. He knew I didn't have a family doctor and kind of took me as his patient.
Yeah.
They didn't like that at emergency. They're like, no, he's a walk-in doctor. And I'm like, I'm in pain here. I really don't give a crap.
Yeah.
Just put none then.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was amazing. And my oncologist, Dr. Juan, was freaking phenomenal.
Yeah.
My surgeon, everybody was great.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud, like, of the cancer clinic, the cancer facility that we have here.
Yeah, amazing.
And it's because of the hard work of people, local people. Like, I know Scott's a part of it too. I think is it the Whelan Warriors of the North?
Yeah.
They work hard and they raise funds that go to the BC Cancer Foundation.
Yeah, and we've been very involved in it too. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
The Brink group. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You have, and it's amazing because when the BC Cancer Foundation gets funding like that, so you just listened to me go on and on about all the different treatments I had. I didn't have to leave Prince George even once for anything.
So critically
I
important,
did
right?
everything here.
It's so critically important.
Now, if I rewind to when we lost my mom, at that time, there was one oncologist who was servicing all of northern BC or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, so it
could have been
just
different, right?
Night and day difference. Yeah. So I feel very privileged and just very grateful and proud of our city.
And the cancer clinic here is of world class, right? So they are doing stuff there which is of a world class level.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing. I had the privilege of going through there several times.
Yeah.
And we've been quite involved with them, you know, so I'm and our guest, I think it's so important that what you telling us is that, so now you had to have the other operation that took out your ovaries and those things, and then, but what followed it is that you didn't realize what would happen because the effect on the rest of your body and your brain and all the whole you.
Yeah.
So then you had to get hormone replacement.
Yeah. So what ended up happening was once a woman's ovaries are taken out, she's instantly put into menopause. I was under 40.
Yeah.
I'll be 43 next month.
Yeah.
So right before I turned 40, I was a woman in menopause.
Yeah.
So if there's any like women listening and they want information or support,
well, that's why it is so important.
They can call me.
That's why it is so important that you're talking about it, right?
Yeah.
So then what happened then? Did you then go on therapy in some form to get hormone replacement that would then bring you back to?
Yeah. So like it was with me, it ended up, and not all women are qualified. Like obviously I'm not a medical professional, right?
No, obviously.
But it's something you got to work out with your doctor. But there are women out there whose doctors don't put them on hormone therapy.
Right.
A lot of times it's because doctors don't understand it well enough.
Yeah.
Sometimes if it's I think like an estrogen fueled cancer that they have. Remember how I said mine was triple negative?
Yeah.
There's some that are fueled, like they're positive. And I'm not going to do a very good job explaining it.
No.
But some women can't be on therapy because the estrogen can fuel that cancer growth.
Okay.
Thankfully, I can be. Like I couldn't imagine life without it. Like my mind was just, ask my family. Like I felt like I was losing it. Like my mood was off. I was irritable. Just all these things going on. And I remember going into my oncologist after I had the salpingo-oophorectomy, and we were talking about hormone therapy. I didn't understand the benefits of it. I didn't understand why it was important. And I had just thought, oh, I've had IV therapy, chemotherapy. No, nothing foreign now. I'm doing this naturally. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to work out. I'm going to journal,
All
do yoga,
right?
and do all the things,
Yeah.
and I'll be fine. I don't need it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Thinking it's like Advil for a headache. Oh
Yeah.
no, I learned the hard way. It's not. And I remember I was sitting in Dr. Wan's office talking to him about whatever was going on at that time. And he goes to me, he goes, Sarita, he goes, you have a very vibrant personality, and it's like you've jumped off the deep end and don't know how to swim. And I looked at him and he goes, I don't mean it in a bad way.
Yeah.
And I just said, you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly how I feel. And when he said vibrant, I thought to myself, vibrant? I don't remember the last time I felt this way.
Yeah.
And then I had a very supportive gynecologist. She put me on hormone therapy. We adjusted it.
Locally?
And local.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can name the name.
Oh, Dr. Odulio. Yeah, I think it just comes from banking. You're not allowed to talk about clients, right? So here I want to give a shout out to the amazing professionals in this community. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so how did that all go then? How are you feeling now?
I feel great.
Yeah.
So it's because when a woman's hormones aren't balanced, things aren't working. It affects your mood. Like I said, your bone health, your heart health, right?
Yeah.
But you don't see those things.
No.
But your mood and how you communicate with people, your relationships, how you're feeling.
Yeah.
Like that shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and before I went, I think I probably booked an appointment because my family was getting worried about me.
Well, yeah.
But you just get used to living like that, so you don't even know something is wrong.
Yeah.
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 But thankfully, like I feel great now.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. So now we'll talk about the career again.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
I can't wait. Yeah, now I'm excited. I have new things to be excited about.
Tell us.
So, okay, with all the banking, everything, loved all of it.
You took a pause and
Took a pause, and then I re-entered the workforce, and I landed with Community Futures, Fraser, Fort George.
Yeah, and so you are the executive?
That sounds too fancy. No, I'm not an executive. I'm actually the project manager for a project called Leap for Women. So
what does that stand for?
I knew you were going to ask me. I knew I should have prepped better for this interview.
No, it's good.
So I'll just back up for a moment and I'll say, so my employer right now is Community Futures Fraser Fort George.
Yeah.
So consider them the umbrella.
Yeah.
And under that umbrella, there's a projects division.
Yeah.
So I belong to that division.
Yes.
For the last couple of years, I've been a part of that division.
Yeah.
And the project that I'm managing right now is called Leap for Women.
Yeah.
And it stands for Leadership and Entrepreneur Accelerator Program.
We'll
I got
that.
it, yes.
You got it.
I was like, somebody Google it quick and tell me.
Yeah, no. So, and that deals with women that have a forum where they can interact with other women.
Yeah.
And you are
so we do
managing that
Yeah, so
area.
we you know what, we do all kinds of cool, fun things.
Yeah.
Essentially, I want you to think about it like a small business resource center for women.
Okay.
What does that mean? It means we have targeted workshops, skills training, knowledge sharing, networking, and we have our largest event of the year coming up, which I'm working on right now, the annual LEAP conference.
We were a sponsor one year.
You were a sponsor last year. Brink Group was. Thank you very much, and I'm hoping you will support us again this year.
Yes.
And no, you know, it's a phenomenal thing. I mean, the money is one thing, you know, when I'm talking to sponsors, but I also look at companies that you know, sort of buy into the idea, that they foster the development. They believe in like having this professional development for women, right? It's not just like, I don't really care, write a check, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, hey, that's great. If you want to, I'll take your money for anybody listening.
We want to usually be more involved
Exactly,
in that,
right?
like
Somebody that has an interest about what happens to women in Northern BC.
Yeah.
And,
exactly.
you know, I've been asked too, like, because I've delivered some workshops for, like, right now in this role, I work specifically with women. But I've delivered workshops, facilitated events for Community Futures.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes I'll have like all men in the workshop. And then I get excited about my program. And I remember, you know, having conversations where they'll be like, well, why a separate program for women? And, you know, really what it boils down to is it's not like we're trying to be men. It's really the government recognizes it's like, hey, how do we advance women's economic empowerment?
Yeah.
The government recognizes, which is why we have the funding to put programs like this in place.
Yeah.
And really it's how do we support them to improve everybody's well-being, like the local community, the communities we live in, the local economy, you know. So what is it that I'm trying to say? I know I can go on and on. I have so many things. I have a point. Basically, there's some barriers that are systemic, which is where the government's getting involved. Mm-hmm. But then there's some barriers we as women create ourselves. Mm-hmm. Confidence is a big one. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it is from how we're raised at an early age too, right? Like there's like boys do this, girls do this, right?
Yeah.
And it's sort of like an either or.
The way it's expected to be.
Yeah,
you know?
And these gender stereotypes, they actually don't serve anybody. They don't serve men either, right? No. And usually when I have workshops and people are new to any of the programs, I say, hey, look, like our most popular workshop series right now is Reframe for Confidence.
Yeah.
And you know, like after I went through my health thing, being unemployed, re-entering the workforce, my confidence absolutely took a beating.
Well, sure.
And so I took the Reframe for Confidence workshop.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's one thing, like say if you take a course and you're like, oh, this is so cool, but if you don't walk away with tools to apply and don't actually apply those tools, that new learning isn't going to be very effective, right? No. And so I've been delivering the Reframe for Confidence workshop we have, I should say, once a quarter. Yeah. And what that allowed me to do was keep those tools at the top of mind because they're constantly there. Yeah. And so it makes a huge difference. And it's so nice to see women get together and they're more held back and private and don't share their struggles as much. Yeah. And so you get them in a room and you see the energy change. Yeah. Someone shares a story. Yeah. Or they need advice. Yeah. And someone else speaks up. And it's just, I learn so much from the women I work with. Yeah. And so, you know, confidence is one of the things. We have, what's another workshop? We launched last year the LEAP Incubator Program. So what that is if women have a business idea and they don't know what to do, you know, we had 7 women graduate last year. I had 8 women graduate, or 8 women last year, 7 women this year. And we take them through, it's the same cohort, and we take them through these specific workshops so they end up with a business plan at the end of it.
So what is the objective then? What do they end up with being?
Yeah, so the objective is really to help give them those tools and skills to, we say take the leap, right? So whether that's putting your hand up for positions like senior roles, or whether that's taking that leap into entrepreneurship, right? Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's how do we advance women's economic empowerment? Yes. That's what it's about. So thank you. I know I get excited and start talking about different things.
No, that's good.
And so our largest event of the year is the LEAP conference. It'll be the 3rd conference. So this is my first year leading it. Okay. So my predecessor, Mary Miting, I worked very close with, and she led it the last 2 years. Yeah. And she's since moved on from Community Futures.
Did you have it during the COVID period as well, or
we ended up shifting everything online. Yeah. So before I officially joined LEAP, they were working on an in-person conference, and it was supposed to be the first of its kind in northern BC. Right. Then COVID happened. Yeah. And they considered canceling it.
Yeah.
but then made the decision to make it virtual, and that was a very good decision.
So the next one is when?
So the next one is the first one was virtual. It'll be in October. The first one was virtual. Second one, which was last year, was hybrid.
Yeah.
So you could attend in person or virtually.
Yeah.
This year we're doing it hybrid again.
Yeah, hybrid again.
Hybrid again, and it's October 25th to 27th at the coast.
At the coast in Illinois? Yeah. Excellent. You know, the and people from the region or area, or how
absolutely. You know, it's actually aimed for women in northern British Columbia.
Yeah.
But we had people from all over BC and some in Alberta as well attend. That's the beauty. That's the beauty of doing it virtually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the interesting. So so that's where you are preoccupying your time now. Keeps you busy.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love it. Right. And so when Mary left, I stepped into Mary's role.
Yeah.
And then we just recently hired Val. So her and I work close together. So she's helping take care of the other workshops right now. So she's delivering Reframe for Confidence right now.
Yeah.
And her background is teaching. So she's great.
Perfect, right?
She hit the ground running. I love it.
Yeah.
So that allows me now to spend all my energy on the conference. So we've got our dates. We've got the venue booked. I've got all my speakers lined up.
Yeah.
And there'll be other fun and exciting opportunities. We're going to have fun.
How many people do you expect to attend?
I'm expecting over 300.
Oh, that's sizable.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, last year we had 268.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But what I'm hoping more of is more in person.
Yeah.
So last year we ended up being capped at 50 in-person seats, even though we ended up selling more than 50 tickets because of COVID restrictions.
Yeah.
We were capped at 50.
Yeah.
Yeah. This year, hopefully nothing happens and there's no more restrictions, but.
So are there still openings for people that want to sign up or be part of it?
How so? Like the participants or sponsors?
Yeah.
Absolutely. We haven't opened registration yet.
Yeah.
So
is it online or how?
So not yet. We're actually working on a new website.
Okay.
But anybody who's interested, they can follow Leap for Women on social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn.
Okay.
And they can also email me. I'll share my email address if they want to be put on an email list to stay tuned.
You want to tell us what it is now? Or,
Pardon me?
You want to tell us what it is now?
Oh, sure. Yeah. It's my first name, Sarita, Sarita P for Parmar. So Sarita P at cfdc.bc.ca.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And
if you forget and need to look it up, just please Google Leap for Women. My name's on the website that we have. But like I said, we're just in the middle of creating a new website. Yeah. So, registration, I hope to open it up next month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then the conference is October
25th to the 27th.
Yeah.
So it'll be a 2.5-day conference.
Yeah.
We'll have exhibitor booths. We will have networking.
Yeah.
We will have some other fun things like participants can expect a yoga break and headshots. Yeah, so we'll be doing all kinds of cool things. And you know, the most important thing is like obviously the networking, connecting with other people, learning from other people, collaborating. But with all the speakers that we have, again, it's not, we've said this in the past, it isn't like a rah-rah and everybody goes and lives their life.
No.
The speakers will have specific topics and they'll give the participants actionable tools. So when you leave the conference, you're leaving with something that you can apply in your real life.
Exactly.
For your career, for your business.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Is this something that happens in other areas, the LEAP program?
LEAP
or
does
is it
not.
Unique?
It is unique to us.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting,
So, there's maybe different versions of it in other areas of the province or across Canada.
Yeah.
But so super exciting, and I feel like I'm forgetting some details, but please Google Leap for Women.
So kind of looking at all of that then, and obviously you have had a challenging number of years behind you, and you look fabulous.
Thank you.
You
So do
always
you.
did.
Yeah.
So going forward, what do you see for you? And your daughter is getting on. As you said, 13 going on 18.
Oh gosh, yeah, if not older. What do I see for myself? You know what? I see myself continuing to be an amazing mom.
Yeah.
Just taking care of me. And in terms of work, I want to do something that has an impact on people.
Yeah.
I seem to have found a niche,
Yeah.
And so in some way, shape, or form, coaching, consulting, educating, empowering women to take the leap. Yeah.
You have a natural talent. You're a very, very good communicator.
You think so?
Yeah, I believe so.
I just talk lots, I thought.
No, I think it's very exciting, actually. So, I really appreciate you, being on my podcast. I want to give you a couple of books, actually.
I love books.
Yeah.
I'm such a nerd.
Did you get this one, Against All Odds?
You know what? I don't have the physical copy. I listened to you on Audible.
Okay.
And you're going to sign it for me too?
Yeah.
You're going to write my name? Yeah.
Rita, all the best. So that's the one.
No, I love it.
And then the other one I'm going to do too. This is the new one.
That
This
hasn't
is,
even been out.
No, you're pretty much
out?
one of the first ones.
Yeah.
And that is getting this one. It does not get out until the 26th, I think. Or 20,
That's right. Yeah, July 26th is what I read.
Yeah, you're very special. So I'm going to put a heart here.
Aww. Thank you.
Thanks.
I love it.
I'll give you a hand, and then I'll give you a big hug once you stand up.
I was going to say,
thanks
why are
for
you
this.
shaking my hand? I want a hug.
I know, because I'm also
I can get up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Audible is one thing, but I love the feel of books.
Yeah?
I just listen to Audible sometimes so I can get through the book faster when I'm driving.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so excited.
Thanks
Thank
again,
you.
Sarita, for being my guest.